Welcome to the video tutorial of Couples Budget 3.0. This is a fully automated template. The bulk of the work will be in the setup sheet. Everything is automated, so it will save you time in the long run. As a general rule, only fill out white cells like this, and gray cells like this. If you accidentally edit a colored cell, this message will pop out. Please select cancel. Unless you do want to edit the formula, you can check the box and select OK. But otherwise, please select cancel. You can hide any tab you're not using by right-clicking on the tab and select Hide Sheet, and you can always unhide them later. Please start with the setup sheet and select your starting month, which is the month you start using this template, and also select the current month. If you're using Google Sheets on a desktop, you can double-click on the cell and select the date. If you're using Google Sheets on a phone or tablet, please type in the date by typing the month / the date and then enter. Always select the first of the month. The next step is to write your subcategories. There are three main categories, which is income, savings, and expenses. Your expenses are divided into four main categories, which is bills, debt, subscriptions, and variable expenses. All subcategories are fully editable. You can delete them and write your own. So feel free to edit, delete, or rename them. This is the same with savings and all expenses subcategories. They are all fully editable. Please make sure not to double up your subcategory naming across multiple sections. So for example, I have a bill called council rates here. If I want to save for council rate, I can't call it the same name. So in this instance, I name this saving - council rate under savings. The other things not to do, as shown in this cell here, please do not add or delete any rows. If you need extra rows for savings, simply click this plus icon here, check the box and select OK. You now have up to 40 rows for savings categories, and the same for bills, debt, subscriptions, and variable expenses. Simply click this plus icon here. For income, you have up to 10 income sources. If you need more than 10, please reach out to me so I can send you an updated template. The other thing not to do is please do not cut and paste subcategories. You can copy and paste. Copy and paste is fine, but please do not use cut and paste, as it will create error in the template. Once you are done with writing down all the subcategories, if they are recurring transactions, simply enter the amount, frequency, and start date. Start date is the first payment of those transactions after the starting month you input there. Once you've done that, these transactions will then automatically populate it to the payments tab. For some subcategories that are irregular, simply leave the amount, frequency, and start date as blank. You can then log those irregular transactions in the manual log tab, which I will explain later as well. Now, I've deleted this input to show you how to enter things properly. So simply enter the amount. For example, if it's $2,000, enter 2,000 under frequency, which is how often you want this transaction to repeat. You have the option of weekly, bi-weekly, which is every 2 weeks, monthly, 4 weekly, which is every 28 days, quarterly, which is every 3 months, biannual, which is every 6 months, and annual. I'm going to select bi-weekly. Then start date is the first payment of that transaction after the starting month. I'm going to put the 3rd of January, so 1/3, and then enter. This means that you only have to set up the recurring transaction once. You don't need to change the start date every month because all of these paychecks for the next 12 months are automatically populated in the payments tab. Please note that you cannot enter the start date without filling out the amount and frequency. This red highlight will appear. If you do that, simply enter the amount and frequency, and the red highlight will disappear, or you can just delete them if you're not ready to fill out that information yet. You can also find that note here. If you are using Excel, the date format will automatically follow your computer's regional setting. If you are using Google Sheets and you want to write the date format first instead of month first, you can do that by typing the date without space. Simply type the first 3 letters of the month, JAN, then select enter. If you are using desktop in the Google Sheets version, please remember you can always double-click and select the date. The end date is set automatically to 12 months after the starting month. Now, for those of you who have bi-monthly or semi-monthly income, which means receiving paycheck twice a month, this is what you should do. Select monthly as frequency, then choose the first paycheck date of the month, then copy and paste this to the next row, select monthly as well, and then select the second paycheck of the month. in this instance is 17. This means that Jamie's salary will repeat every month on the 3rd of the month and the 17th of the month. You can also allocate account to each transaction here in this column. But before you do that, please go to the Accounts tab and list or write your bank account names here. You can then select the accounts you wrote there in this drop down here. You can also allocate payer to each subcategory, but before you do that, simply write partner names in this table here. Since this is a couple's budget, I have allowed partner 1, partner 2, and the third one being combined. Once you write them here, you can then allocate payer to each subcategory. Account and payer columns are optional. You don't need to use them. Only use account column if you need to track balances for each of your card, which is all summarized in this accounts sheet. Now, payer column. Only use this column if you need to know the ratio distribution of your income, savings, and expenses between you and your partner. So, for example, if you don't need to track who spends what and how much, then you don't need to use the payer column. If you are not using them, feel free to hide these columns by right-clicking on the column and select Hide Columns. You can do the same with this as well, and the same with savings part. That way you can keep things simple and only display the information you need to see. So now everything I've just explained about income also applies to savings and expenses. With savings, you can choose from account and to account. You can also choose payer. I have created this new feature for recurring money transfers. In this example, I've called this Auto Transfer 1. Let me put this in bold. So if you have regular money transfer from a certain account to another account, you can set it up here under the savings table, enter amount, frequency, and start date, enter from account and to account. You can also allocate payer and make sure to check the box in column Z here. As per the note here, whenever you check the box in column Z, it will be excluded from savings. So this wouldn't be in your end balance in all dashboards. This would just be recorded in the Accounts tab. One thing I forgot to mention before is make sure if you're not selecting any account to leave this as dash or select dash here. If you don't, then this will turn red. This indicates error as shown in this note here. And this applies to all income, savings, and expenses. Now let's move on to expenses. For bills, debt, and subscriptions, exactly the same principle. For any transactions that are recurring, you can enter the amount, frequency, and start date. And for any one-off payment or irregular payments, simply leave them blank here and log them in the manual log tab. Now I want to talk about the split calculator here. This is just a simple calculator if you need to split your bills between you and your partner. I'm going to give an example. I want to split this rent amount here between partner 1 and partner 2. In this instance, Jamie and Lucy. So what you should do, let me delete this for a second. Enter the full amount of the rent here and enter the ratio. I'm going to put 60% as an example. It will then automatically calculate the ratio to pay for Jamie, which is 60%, and Lucy, which is 40%. Please then enter that amount here, 1080. Enter the frequency and the first payment date. You can enter from account, then select Jamie as the payer. Let me delete this as well. Then copy and paste this because we are splitting this with Lucy. It has to be the same name, and then enter Lucy's portion, which is 720. The frequency and start date in this instance is the same. From account, for example, checking 2, and then I will enter Lucy as the payer. This is how you split your bills between you and your partner if you are paying it from a separate account to the vendor. Also, they have to be on top of each other like this. If you are paying it from one account, for example, if Jamie is the one who's paying the whole rent, and then later on Lucy wants to transfer to Jamie, I will explain how to do that in the Payments tab. But if that's the case, then you can enter 1800 here because Jamie is the one who's paying it in full. So if Jamie is the one who's paying it and then Lucy will pay Jamie later, this is what you will do. Then I will show you how to split the bills in the Payments tab later on in this video. One more thing to note is if you have any credit cards, make sure that the subcategory names that you write here matches exactly with the credit card names that you write in the Accounts tab. You can allocate from account here, but the to account is automatically set to each credit card. So that's why these credit card names need to match exactly what you have in the Accounts tab. Now, if you need to cancel any subscription, you can alter the end date here. So, for example, if my Dropbox subscription ending in May, I can simply type the 31st of May here. This message will pop out, but please check the box and select OK. This subscription will then stop at the month of May. The same principle will apply if you need to cancel any recurring debt, bills, any recurring income or savings. You can always edit the end dates in these cells. Next to subscription is variable expenses. This section is for non-recurring expenses such as eating out, groceries, shopping, and so on. Again, this is fully editable, so feel free to rename them to suit your needs. You can then enter your monthly budget per category here. So the monthly budget you input here will automatically be populated in the monthly dashboard under this column here. This column here will automatically calculate the weekly equivalent of your monthly budget, which is simply this amount times 12 divided by 52 weeks. The annual column will automatically calculate the annual sum of the amount you enter here, which is this amount times 12. Now, to log the actual transaction of your variable expenses, please do that in the manual log tab. Now, once you finish setting up everything in the setup tab, all recurring transactions will be populated in the payments tab. So this is the payments tab. Feel free to hide row 1 by right-clicking on row 1 and select hide row. Please do not edit column B to column L. Remember, these are colored cells. I didn't protect this sheet. There will be no warning in place, so please remember not to edit these columns, except for column H and I. These are white cells, so you can edit them. As you can see, all the recurring transactions that you set up in the setup sheet are automatically populated for the next 12 months from your starting month. So you don't have to repeat logging them each month. No need to copy and paste. Everything is fully automated. This is based on the frequency and the start date you input in the setup sheet. All transactions are highlighted per category, so it's easy to spot and differentiate between income, bills, debt, and savings. Also, feel free to hide any columns. If you are not splitting bills, you don't need column H to K, so feel free to select these columns, right-click, and then hide columns. You can also do the same for payer and accounts columns. If you just want to keep things really simple, you can hide these columns so you're only left with what you need to see. If you do that, you might need to readjust this filter. So also feel free to drag this and rearrange it so that they don't overlap each other. If you need to unhide, simply click this double arrow here. This row 2 here is filter function. You can filter transaction by status, paid or unpaid, month, year, category, subcategory, from account, and payer. Please note that in the Excel version, the filter won't be in row 2, it will be in row 4. So this is how the filter function looks like in Excel. You can filter any transactions by clicking on this arrow here, check select all, and check only the transaction you want to filter. The checkbox also looks different in Excel, but it functions the same way. If you want to check the box, you can simply select from drop down, and if you want to uncheck the box, simply delete content. I want to explain about these bill split columns. So if you are splitting your rent between you and your partner, and you're paying it from one account to the vendor. So one person paying the rent first, then the other person, which is Lucy, will transfer the money to Jamie later. I will uncheck this for a second to show you. So what you can do is to enter the ratio of partner 1, which is this column here. What's the ratio for Jamie? In this instance, I want the ratio to be 60% for Jamie, 40% for Lucy. So please enter the 60%, then check the box of the split bill. It will automatically put 1,080 under Jamie and $720 under Lucy. This will be then reflected in the distribution dashboard as well as partner 1 and partner 2 dashboard. I will explain about these dashboards later. All of this amount that is shown in this sheet will then be populated to the monthly tab, paycheck tab, and annual tab. As you can see here under income, all income categories are automatically calculated under the projected column. The same with savings under projected column, and the same with bills, debt, and subscriptions. The amounts from the payments tab are populated under the budget columns. Then once you check the paycheck box, if I go back to the monthly tab, that amount will then show under the actual column. So all of the graphs here are only showing paid transactions. So if I go to the payments tab, then if I check all of the checkboxes for the month of January, you can do that by selecting all the checkboxes and then press spacebar. You can then see this amount are now showing in the cells, and these two charts are also now populating. This pie chart will only appear once you log your variable expenses in the manual log tab. Now you can make variation to these recurring amounts here, but please don't do it from this column. If you scroll all the way to the right, you can see this variation table over here when you can input new date, new amount, and if you have any variation to from account or to account, you can input them here as well as payer. So this works per transaction. So for example, for electricity bill, I have input the amount of $120 in the setup tab, but each month that amount varied. For the month of January, simply find that transaction, scroll to the right, and then you can input the new amount So I'm entering $125, which is the variation. And you can see it's also updated in this cell. So that's how you enter any variation per transaction here to any category. Now, if I go back to the monthly tab, you can now see the variation amount is shown under both budget and actual column. This also means you can track unpaid versus paid transaction. One thing to be mindful of, once you make some amendments in the white cells here and you've used the paycheck boxes here, if you do have to make a new recurring transaction, for example, I am adding a new recurring bill called Bill 1, please make sure that the start date of Bill 1 should be after the last transaction when you check the box or make some edit. For example, if I edit this new laptop saving to be $200, the last row here that was checked is savings cancel rate. But if the date of my new bill is before that last transaction, you can see what happened, that it's shifted. And that $200 is no longer from my laptop and it's shifted to the emergency fund. So all you need to do is to adjust it. I will check this. I will also check this. So you just need to remember to adjust that, or make sure to finish setting up your bills, including the start date, before you start making adjustment or variation. And if you do need to add new bills, simply add the start date after the last transaction where you make some edit. Next to Payments tab is Manual Log tab. This is where you enter all variable expenses and irregular transactions. Feel free to hide row 1. Paid checkboxes in this sheet are only applicable for bills category, income category, and debt category. And for categories such as variable expenses and savings, the paid checkboxes are not applicable, so this will be grayed out. This means you should only enter things like variable expenses and savings in this sheet once they are being paid. That's why there are no checkboxes shown here. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to enter your expenses here. First, please enter the date here, then select the subcategory from the drop-down. You can type the first 2 letters so it's easier to find what you're looking for. Then select it. Please note, if you need to edit any of the subcategory, you cannot do it from this sheet. Make sure to do it from the setup sheet. This dropdown will then automatically update. Now please enter the amount, select from account, and remember, if you need to edit these account names, please go to the Accounts tab. Do not edit from this sheet. To account is only applicable for income, savings, and debt. So for example, if you accidentally choose something here, this will turn red because this is groceries, which is variable expense, and the to account will be to your vendor. So I'm going to delete this. Then select Payer. The same with the Payments tab. Column E to column K are optional. So if you do not want to use them, you can right click and then select hide columns. Now, if you want to split bills, this works the same with the Payments tab. You can check the box here and it will automatically calculate split amount for partner 1 and partner 2 based on the ratio that you input here. So you can change this to 60%. So this ratio is the ratio for partner 1. In this example, it means that Lucy owes Jamie $48 from this transaction. This owing amount will then be reflected in the distribution tab. If you scroll all the way to the right, this tab here, which I will explain later on in the video. Please note that the bill split feature is only applicable if you choose partner 1 or partner 2. It's not applicable if you choose combine because it's only for splitting bills between the 2 partners. For irregular money transfers, please enter them in this sheet as well. To do that, simply enter the date, leave the subcategory as blank, enter the amount you want to transfer, enter the account, select from account and to account. For money transfers, you don't need to allocate payer, leave it as blank unless you owe each other's money. If partner 1 wants to transfer money to partner 2 or vice versa, which I will explain more in detail when I talk about the distribution dashboard. You can also filter transactions in this sheet from this row 3 here. Simply select the little triangle icon next to each heading. Now let's go through the monthly tab in detail. Everything here is automatically populated from the Payments tab and Manual Log tab. To view the current month, please do that from the Setup tab here. You can change the current month here and it will automatically update it. You can adjust the start date if you prefer this tab to start on other date than the 1st. Simply type in the date here. For example, if I wanted to start on the 5th of January, I'll type 1/5 and enter. Then when you're moving on to the next month, you don't need to go to the Setup tab. Simply change the date here to the next month. You can also enter your start balance in this cell here. Start balance is the remaining fund or leftover money you have from the previous month. This table here is your monthly summary that calculates your end balance, which is your start balance plus total income, minus total expenses, and minus total savings. You can compare your budget and balance versus actual and balance. All of your totals are also displayed in easy view here. Your total income, total savings, total bills, debt, subscriptions, and variable expenses. Remember, these are all from your paid transactions. So in the payments tab, don't forget to check the paid checkboxes. You can see this chart here that display total income versus total expenses. Left to spend amount is the remaining budget that is taken from total budget of expenses minus actual, and balance is populated from this cell. Total unpaid is the remaining unpaid amounts of your recurring expenses, which is budget minus actual of your recurring expenses, which is also summarized as a payment progress in this cell here. You can also see the progress breakdown of bills, debt, subscription, and variable expenses, budgets versus actual displayed in this chart here. Spending breakdown is from your variable expenses. For this chart to populate, don't forget to log your variable expenses in the manual log tab for the month displayed on this sheet. The spending breakdown shown in this chart here is sorted from the highest to the lowest amount. Now, if you scroll all the way to the right, you can see your daily spending chart, which is your daily paid expenses, highest to lowest expenses this month summarized in this table here. Now I'm going to show you when I move on to the month of February. Make sure to select the current month here. You can see that the month is now updated to February. Remember to update the start balance. If you want to have a record of your start balance each month, you can duplicate the tab by right-clicking on the tab and then select duplicate. You can see copy of monthly here. Double click on the tab to rename it. I'm going to make this the previous month's tab, which is January. Select enter because I'd like to keep the original monthly tab as the current month. So when I go to the January tab to make this the previous month, simply delete the cell here, type in the month, which is January in this case. Then this becomes your January tab, and then the monthly tab will become your current month. So it's totally up to you if you want to duplicate the tab or go from month to month from a single tab. Both will work. But if you want to have a record of your start balance each month, then I would suggest you to duplicate the tab. So Paycheck Dashboard works the same way with the monthly dashboard, but instead of showing transactions for the whole month, it only shows transactions between these two dates here. The first thing you need to do is to select your budget period. You have the option of selecting weekly, bi-weekly, which is 14 days period, 4-weekly, which is 28 days period, or custom. The next step is to select your start date here. This should be the date you receive your paycheck. Once you've typed in your date here, the end date will automatically populate based on the period that you selected here. If your income is bi-monthly or semi-monthly, which is paid twice a month, simply select custom period here, then enter the end date of your paycheck manually in this custom end date here. You can only type in this cell once you select custom period. I'm going to revert back to the bi-weekly option for the purpose of this video. Now I want to show you why some of these bills are not populating. As you can see, rent, electricity bills, gas bill, and water bills are zero, even though if you go to the payments tab, they are showing here and the paycheck boxes have been checked as well. So these are showing zero because this sheet will not show any transactions outside these two dates here, which is between 14th of January until the 27th of January. That's why all of these bills are showing zero, because they are either before this date or after this date. Everything else works the same way with the monthly tab. If you scroll all the way to the right, you can also see your daily spending chart and your highest to lowest expenses this paycheck displayed in this table. The same with the monthly tab, you can also enter your start balance here, which is the remaining balance from the previous paycheck. To move on to the next paycheck, you can either move on from paycheck to paycheck by changing the start date here. So in this instance, the next paycheck will be the 28th of January. So simply select the 28th of January to move on to the next paycheck. You can also duplicate the tab and rename them Pay 1, Pay 2, and so on. So make sure to watch my explanation on how to do that to the monthly tab. Annual dashboard. So everything in this tab is automatically populated for you. You don't need to do anything here except for entering the start balance if you have any. This is your annual summary of your income versus expenses. Your end balance is summarized in this table here. Your monthly savings for 12 months is shown in this chart here. You can see here your annual income versus annual total expenses. All of these amounts here are from your paid transactions. So make sure to check the pay check boxes in the payments tab. If you need to change the current month, please do that from the setup tab. If you scroll down, you can see the 12-month summary of your start balance, monthly income, monthly savings, monthly total bills, debt, subscriptions, variable expenses. Then you can see the end balance and daily average. Your end balance to each month here is rolled over automatically as the start balance of the next month. You can see your monthly average end balance summarized here and your monthly average savings calculated here. To see further breakdown of your annual dashboard, please go to the annual breakdown sheet. This is where you can track all of your paid transactions annually. The current month selected from the setup tab is automatically highlighted in black and gray here. All of these charts here show the amount to date of each category from the starting month to the current month. So you can see the variable expenses breakdown, bills and debt breakdown of your annual amount sorted from the highest to the lowest. My favorite feature here is the total and average of all of your categories displayed in easy view here. So you can see how much average per month you spend on eating out, groceries, shopping, automatically calculated here. Please note, for this average to be calculated accurately, you just have to select the correct current month from the setup sheet. If you scroll down, you can also see the same information for your bills, debt, and subscriptions. The bottom part is your income and savings. You can now see your income breakdown, savings breakdown, monthly and income savings chart here, and your total versus average of each of your income categories and savings categories. Let's talk about the calendar sheet. This is your bill calendar where you can view your income, bills and subscriptions, and debt. It's a smart calendar, so please do not duplicate the tab. Your current date will automatically be marked as red. But first, what you need to do is to set up your time zone correctly. To do that, please go to File, Settings. Make sure to select the right time zone here. Just don't forget to select Save Settings. Your current date will automatically be highlighted in red. Now you can start at any day. So for example, if I want to start on Sunday, I can choose the day before, which is the 23rd of February. If I want to start on Friday, I can choose the 28th of February. For the purpose of this video, let's start on Monday. I also want to show you that the bills from the previous month is also shown here. So you can actually see a full view of each week. So you don't have to go back and forward to see your bills from the previous month or past month to see the full week. If I want to move on to April, so all I need to do is double click here and then select the 31st of March. Everything will be automatically populated accordingly. Now to track your payment progress, please go to the Payments tab. If I mark some of these transactions as paid by checking the paid checkboxes, if I go to the calendar, you can see that they are marked as light gray. Just want to let you know, after I recorded this video, I have added these columns here, which is your total unpaid versus total paid per week. So in your template, you'll be able to see this weekly summary of unpaid versus paid here. So this accounts sheet is where you can track your bank account balances. Please start with writing your bank account names here. And as explained before, in the setup sheet, you can allocate bank account to each recurring transaction. In the manual log tab, you can also allocate account to each transaction. This sheet will then automatically calculate the incoming total versus outgoing total of each of your bank account based on the start date and end date that you input to each bank account. Don't forget to input start balance as well. If you have any balance for your credit card, please make sure to input them with minus. Your end balance will then be automatically calculated here, which is your start balance plus incoming total minus outgoing total. One more important thing to note, as mentioned here, credit card names in this table must be exactly the same name with the credit card names you entered in the setup sheet under the debt table. So whatever you wrote here for credit cards must match what you wrote in the setup tab for those credit cards. I've added these columns here so you can see per account how much is your upcoming expenses, including planned savings. Then you can see the end balance after these upcoming expenses, which is the current end balance here minus this amount. And if the result is minus, it will be highlighted in red. This column here will then calculate how much you need to transfer to cover those expenses. Don't forget to input your start balance and the correct start date and end date. This table here filters everything based on start date and end date for each account. You can also see the distribution of incoming funds or outgoing funds made by partner 1 and partner 2 per account. For these columns to populate, you need to remember to allocate payer to recurring transactions in the setup sheet and in the manual log tab as well. Now, for credit cards, you can input your credit limit here Remember, for credit cards, start balance and credit limit, you need to input them as negative. So once you input your credit limit here, and then you input the correct start balance, this column here will then automatically calculate how much you need to transfer to cover for upcoming expenses. So savings sheet is where you can track all the information related to the savings categories that you list here in the setup sheet. You can see the summary of each savings category displayed here. If you want to see the goal versus save and then also progress, please make sure to input your goal amount per saving category. You can also input your start amount for any current balance you have in your account. For any ongoing savings, simply delete the zero here and then leave it as blank. For example, if I delete this, it will automatically show as ongoing. Your save amount is calculated from the payments tab, but don't forget to check the paid checkboxes there, otherwise it won't be populated here. Remember, if you have any irregular savings, you can also log that in the manual log tab. Everything will be automatically populated for you, so you can see goal versus save in this chart here, your progress, your left to save, total left to save in this cell here, total goal here, and then total save displayed in this cell here. Remember, in the setup sheet, you can click this plus button if you need more saving categories, and the same thing in this sheet, you can also press this plus icon. This message will appear, and then you can check the box and click OK. It will give you up to 40 savings categories. There is savings calculator option 1 table and savings calculator option 2. The first one is to calculate your monthly contribution based on your goal amount and goal date. So your savings categories will be automatically displayed here. The same with your goal amount and start amount. Remember, to input this, you can enter them here and in this row here as well. You enter the start date and then the goal date. The number of months will be displayed here, and you can see the result, which is how much your monthly contribution based on those start and goal date. If you scroll down, savings calculator option 2 is if you need to calculate your goal date based on your goal amount and monthly contribution. Say that you have a certain monthly contribution and you want to know how long it takes for you to reach a certain goal amount starting from a certain date. So all you need to do here is to enter your monthly contribution and your start date. This will populate the number of months and the goal date. Now we are in 50, 30, 20 sheet. This is your needs or wants dashboard. This sheet automatically calculates how much of your income from the period that you selected here, how much of your income spent on needs versus wants versus savings and debt. Everything is automatically calculated for you. All you need to do are three things. First is to set up your period here, the start date and end date. Second is to make sure that you log your income in the setup sheet and payment sheet. Don't forget to check the paycheck boxes in the payment sheet for your income to populate here. And then the third thing is to scroll down and allocate your needs and wants to each category of the bills, subscriptions, and variable expenses. Once you've done that, then you can see the numbers being populated in all charts and tables here. You can also input your goal for your needs, wants, savings, and debt. The result of this goal calculation is displayed here. So you can compare your goal versus actual number and then your goal versus actual percentage. The good thing about this is you can now set it up to any period. So if you want to do it quarterly, I can insert the 31st of March here. So now this sheet will show you the needs and wants ratio from your income this quarter. I have also added this feature, which means now once you select payer here, this sheet will then display the needs versus wants ratio of the person you selected here. So if I change this to Jamie, it will display Jamie's data. If you prefer to, you can also duplicate this tab and rename them accordingly to reflect the payer you selected in each sheet. Distribution dashboard is pretty straightforward. This is a summary of income, savings, and expenses distribution between you and your partner. So the first thing you need to do is to decide the period you want to track. Enter your dates here, and everything else will be automatically populated for you. Partner 1 data will be displayed in these columns here. Partner 2 data will be displayed in these columns here. And these columns here are for combined. This is your total income summary, total expenses summary, and total savings. And balance here is your income minus expenses and minus savings. And you can see the ratio for each partner displayed in these columns here. You can also show chart for each different category. If I select income, this chart will show ratio distribution of your income between each partner, which is displayed here as well. In this example, 47% of the overall income is from Jamie, 42% of the overall income is from Lucy, and 11% is from combined. Then you can see in this chart income versus expenses and savings for each partner displayed here. Then if you scroll down, you can see the detailed breakdown of how much each partner spent on each subcategory like eating out, groceries, shopping, and so on. The total breakdown is displayed here, but you can also see the breakdown for each category. So you can know who spent what and how much. And the same case with bills, debts, subscriptions, income, and savings details are also displayed here. Owing summary automatically calculates how much each partner owes to the other partner. It is based on the input from these columns here, which is the bill split portion. So only when you check the box, it will calculate how much you owe each other. In this example, $1,800 rent is paid by Jamie, and if you check the bill split checkbox and enter the ratio of 60%, it will automatically calculate the split amount for Jamie and Lucy. In this instance, Lucy owes Jamie $720. So this is the amount that will be calculated in the owing summary table in the distribution dashboard. Let's go back to that. So that's how these two columns are calculated. You can then see in this row here how much total Jamie owes to Lucy and how much total Lucy owes to Jamie. The difference will then be calculated in this row here. Before I talk about transfer amount, I want to explain about balance owed. So again, this is how much you need to transfer to each other. Then this amount is the remaining balance owed, which is this amount minus how much you've transferred to each other. In this example, within this budget period, Lucy owes Jamie $9,834 and then has transferred $9,500 to date. Again, this is between this budget period. This row will then calculate the remaining balance owed. If it's showing minus here, that means that partner 2 owes partner 1. And you can see that there is a positive balance here. This means that the remaining balance that Lucy owes to Jamie is $334. Now, transfer amount. You can then track how much you transfer to each other in the manual log tab. So let's go back to the manual log tab. Remember to record transfer, simply enter the date, leave the subcategory blank. In this example, Lucy owes Jamie $334. I just want to transfer $300 first. So I will enter $300 here, enter from account and to account, then allocate payer. Lucy is the one who makes these payments, so I will choose Lucy. Very important to note, you should only allocate payer to any money transfers if you are transferring funds between partners. If you are only transferring between accounts, please make sure to leave the payer as blank. You can now see balance owed has become $34. Before it was $334. So that's how it works. This diagram here is taken from these two cells here. You can see here Lucy has longer bar, which means that she owes Jamie. How much she owes Jamie will be shown in this row here. Partner dashboards. You have partner 1 dashboard, partner 2 dashboard, and combined dashboard. These are completely optional. You can use these dashboards if you need to separate your finances between you and your partner. So I've created separate dashboard for each of the partner, plus an extra dashboard called Combine. So those partner dashboards will filter all transactions from the Payments tab and Manual Log tab. So in the Setup tab, if you want to use partner dashboards, please do not forget to allocate payer to each transaction. And the same case with Manual Log tab, don't forget to allocate payer to each transaction under the payer column. Once you allocate payer, then this sheet will automatically populate all transactions for partner 1. Partner 1's name will automatically displayed in this cell here. Everything else in this sheet works exactly the same with the monthly tab, which I explained earlier in this video. The only difference is this only filters transactions for partner 1. You can select budget period from this drop down here. Once you select your period, the end date will automatically update based on that period. You can also select custom period and then enter your end date in this cell here. Please note everything is automatically populated, but this column here, which is budget for variable expenses, need your manual input. So feel free to edit this manually here when moving on to the next period if these amounts are different with the previous period. The same way how it works with the monthly tab or paycheck tab, feel free to duplicate this tab if you need to have a record of start balance or have a record of this column from previous month. Feel free to duplicate the tab and rename them accordingly. You can also rename this as per the partner's name. So I can rename this Jamie's dashboard, for example. This message will pop out, but simply check the box and select OK. The same with partner 2. You can rename the tab by double-clicking on the tab. I'm going to call it Lucy's. Everything else works the same way with Partner 1 dashboard, but instead of filtering Partner 1, this sheet will filter Partner 2 transactions based on the budget period and the start date that you select here. If you scroll all the way to the right, you can also see the daily spending chart and the highest to lowest expenses table. For debt payoff and debt custom sheet, feel free to watch the video tutorial in row 1. Then for net worth, bonus tab, and extra tips, please watch the extra tips video tutorial in the instruction tab, row 4.